Please don't write anything on the PPT, please. We have given you audio as well as video rights, just to, in case if you would like to talk something, you can talk, but you cannot use these things, please. So whoever is doing this on the PPT, please don't do that. Yes. A very good afternoon to all of you. This is Dr. Paila Narayan Rao. I'm working as an associate professor with the Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs. I involved in the process of this GIP initially before starting of the first batch, and I have seen the journey of the first batch in the classroom, whatever classroom component that we have completed so far. That is with the first 10 months. Now the students are going to join their internships for next 12 months. Yes, with me, I have the students of the first batch, Mr. Divyansh Dev and Prakul. Prakul is from Andhra Pradesh, Divyansh is from Delhi. So they have joined with us to share their experiences, how they have prepared the GIPSET. When it was actually the first batch students, so there was no any specific guidance available in those days. I have done one a video with the first batch students how to prepare for GIPSET, so that is available in YouTube as well. So now since we have the first batch students with us, so that will be the first hand experience for you, even to talk to them and listen to them for next 1 hour, that how they have prepared for the GIPSET. And there are various components that the GIPSET covers, and they will go through every component of that for your benefit. And you're free to ask your questions. There is a chat box here. They keep responding, and my idea would be let them talk for first half an hour, taking through the entire PPT of every component of the course, that the GIPSET syllabus, so that you keep your questions with you. At the end, last 20 or maybe for half an hour, we will have the question and answer session, so that you can put up any question that you would like to ask on the GIPSET preparation, right? So with this, I request Divyansh and Prakul to join the session. Please put your videos on and start the class, right? Please. I hope I'm audible to Divyansh and Prakul. Yeah, please switch on your audio, video, both, please. Just Divyansh and Prakul, please.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. Welcome to this session on preparation for the GIPSET exam. In our earlier webinars, we had many requests from the students asking questions on how to prepare for the GIPSET exam. Even I got many messages from few of the people, students with whom I interacted. So we thought it better to have a separate webinar per se on it, so that it would be easy for the students to clarify all your questions. So what we planned in this webinar is that I will take you, myself and Divyansh Dev, we will take you through the entire
Prakul will
presentation.
go a little slow.
Yeah,
little
sure,
slow.
sir. Yeah. So Rizu, I don't think the video is required because it's just a presentation. But still, I'll put on the video if you insist. 1 second.
Hi everyone, Divyansh here. Am I audible to you?
Hi Divyansh, welcome. Yeah, Divyansh, you're audible.
Okay,
If
great.
possible, both of you please
Divyansh,
switch on your videos, please.
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay, sir.
So Divyansh, I just started off with the brief introduction. So what we are
Okay.
planning through this session is that we will walk them through the entire presentation, covering the various aspects on which the questions would come. So later
Okay.
we will take up their questions at the end. So in the meantime, when we go on with the presentation, whatever the questions they have, so I request all the students to drop in your questions in the chat box, so that if you feel that question is relevant to that particular aspect which we are discussing, we will take up the question at that time. Or if you feel it is a general question or something, then we will take it up at the end. So this is how we go. So me and Divyansh will give our views on each topic as to how we prepared when we appeared for the GIPSET examination. So Divyansh, shall
Yeah.
we go forward? Yeah, yeah, Divyansh, you can start.
So, as the coverage is entirely, you have to first see what is the coverage area. So, it covers ethics, domain knowledge, legal aptitude, financial aptitude, GK, current affairs, elementary mathematics, and logical reasoning. So, let me switch on my video. Just a moment. Yeah. So, it covers all these aspects. And as a candidate, your first aspect should be to scrutinize these topics as to what is your standing, like where do you stand in the ethics domain, how much knowledge you already have before you start preparing. I think that was the first test that I took for myself, that as to what all at this juncture, at this point in time, what all do I know about ethics, what all do I know about domain knowledge, what all do I know about legal aptitude, what all do I know about financial aptitude, so that let's say if my GK is already very strong, then I won't work that much on it as far as I have to work on, let's say, financial aptitude being a lawyer. So you have to clearly have a preliminary assessment of yourself first as to where do you stand in the entire ecosystem. Then I first talk of ethics. So in ethics, as sir, am I audible? I hope I'm audible too. As Pila sir can also confirm, I'm audible.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So
Please go ahead.
yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes.
So, first of all, what is about ethics? Ethics, less than being about knowledge of ethics, is more about how you apply it. Whatever the questions that will be there in the exam are will be very much application in nature. How do you apply the knowledge? Let's say if you face a moral dilemma. Let's say if somebody bribes you. Let's say if you are asked to take gifts and hospitality from someone. So how do you react at that point in time? What decisions you take in? That is what we are trying to test in, because that is where your moral dilemma comes in. That is where the business ethics comes in, and that is also where conflict of interest comes in. Let's say if your elder brother is also a chartered accountant and you are a resolution professional, so would you take his help and give him I mean any side role in the entire uh, CIRP process? Those are the areas where you have to look into yourself and to understand what will be the appropriate decision. Then next slide is the domain knowledge. While we of course know that at this point in time you might not be you might not be knowing A to Z of insolvency law. We absolutely yeah, Prakul, you would like to add in?
Yeah, I just want to add a few points on the ethics slide, because there were many questions which a few of the students
Yeah,
asked as to
please.
how to prepare for the ethics exam. So, yeah, as Divyansh rightly pointed out, it would be more of testing what you would do, like what you as a professional would do in any situation. So the questions would cover the range of like corporate social responsibility of companies. So that is one common area where few questions come from, CSR. And second, corporate governance. So the corporate governance is the basic. I mean, for corporate governance, the basic precinct is being ethical, right? So corporate governance also is something which usually is covered. Then the OECD principles. So the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, the OECD principles are also covered in the ethics paper. So the scope is very wide when it comes to ethics, because they can ask anything from anywhere. Even if you see the US, the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, so there are at times the questions coming from that as well. So what I would suggest here for you is that, yeah, Riju, sorry. So what I would suggest is there is a paper called Ethics, Governance and Sustainability for Company Secretary students. So, I mean, I don't ask you to go through the entire module per se, but if you can go through the syllabus, then you'll understand what all certain areas where questions can come from. So just do a skim reading of that material. So I will just type in here. The paper is for Ethics, Governance and Sustainability.
These are the important sources for you to refer that way that you wanted to study ethics, because
Yes.
considering probably somebody might be preparing right now, might not have
Correct.
seen till now. So he has still
Correct.
left
Correct.
with 15 days to appear for exam. So it's a better
Yes.
option that the Prakul is giving a sources for you to
Yes.
refer. This is called Ethics, Governance and Sustainability, prepared by for this year's professional by ICSI, I feel, right?
Correct. Correct.
So yeah, if it's
So
available,
yes, I
so
will.
it's an yeah,
Yes, sir.
please.
I will type a few areas where you need to concentrate in terms of ethics. So in the meantime, Divyansh, you can take them through the subsequent
Yeah.
slides.
I would also like to suggest some sources. So since I mean there are sources have been mentioned, so I'll tell you what sources I uh, uh, took in when I was preparing for this. So in lawyers, as I'm a lawyer, so in my sixth semester there was a course on professional ethics, and
Correct.
we had case studies of it, specific case study as to how, and in relation to Advocates Act, of course, but we had very case study oriented examination of that particular subject, and that really helped me because I had already solidified understanding of what it means to have a conflict of interest, what it means to not fall into a moral dilemma, what it means. Uh, can you type in the chat box? So
Sure, sure.
okay,
I'm
I
doing it.
can, what
I'm
I
doing it.
can, yeah, we can do that, and I will be in fact sharing all the links with you after at the fag end of the session. Whatever sources I
Correct.
am mentioning, I will share the links with you, all of you, so that
Sure.
you can prepare from it and also have some other sources at your end. So I use the professional ethics coursework for a lawyer for my own help and understanding. I also, there's this website called Insights IAS, and they have a very beautifully curated free course as to about the sources where you have to study about ethics as in the UPSC exam. So I will also share that website because that website will set a conceptual understanding for you as to what are the different kinds of ethics, what is the ethical theory. At least that part will get sorted so that you know how to back your decisions when a moral dilemma is presented to you, or ethical dilemma is presented to you. So I think I'll be sharing those sources at the end of this presentation. Cumulatively, I have had them in a list for all of you. So Prakul, should I move to next domain knowledge?
Yes, yes. Please.
Yeah. So as I was telling about domain knowledge,
Can we take some questions on ethics at this level?
yeah. If you have any
Anybody
questions
have
on
any
ethics, please.
questions? Yeah. Anybody, any participant have any questions specifically on ethics module? This is very important aspect for the journey of IP. So any specific questions from any one of you, please? You have a chat box here. Please drop quickly. Yeah, I think there is no questions at this level. So please go ahead, Divyansh and Prakul.
Yes.
Sure.
So there's one question from Maruti, as I see.
Maruti, the
He has written.
weightage pattern will come at the end of the presentation. Please wait.
Yeah, yeah. We'll follow on to that. So the domain knowledge. As I was saying, like all of us are professionals at some end, right? We are chartered accountants, we are lawyers, we are company secretaries, and it is expected to know what you have already known as a part of that qualification, but we are completely sure that we do not expect complete knowledge of insolvency laws from you. The question will be generally asked as to the ecosystem questions. If there are any newspaper, let's say if insolvency law has been in newspaper, then what it has been about. Let's say for in the COVID-19, crisis. It's about the threshold increase, right? And there have been several judgments, Jill and Jal judgment, and there's SR Steel judgment. I'm not saying you should know about it, but I mean you should know about what's happening in the ecosystem. What are new developments? If there are any amendments, then what are those amendments? We are just to know that you take keen interest in the insolvency law, because if you really like the law, if you really like this domain, then you some point in time you must be aware as to what's happening in the field, or you'd like to know what's happening in the field. And that is what is the entire objective of this domain knowledge segment. And the specific topics also mentioned. So evolution of modern insolvency system and corporate rescue, business rescue under old regimes, protection of rights of stakeholders, credit infrastructure in India. So for me, I referred for all this, I read the BLRC report. It's a beautifully written report. It is available on the net. I'll also share the link for it. So to prepare the domain knowledge, just to understand how the entire ecosystem is, what were the how was the corporate rescue in India before IBC came in. I referred BLRC report as my only go-to resource. And there are several other reports. There is this company called Alvarez and Marshall. It has done a beautiful study about the legal system, about all the evolution of insolvency system in India, corporate rescue, what were the features, what are the new expectations. So I will be sharing that as well with you at the end of this session. Prakul, would like to add anything onto this slide?
Yeah, Divyansh. So, as Divyansh rightly pointed out, even I believe that by the general knowledge on happenings in the insolvency field is important, and apart from that, the basic understanding of the code, like the initiation, who can initiate IBC, what are the limits. So recently the limits have been increased to 1 crore, right? So the recent amendments, and as to the recent basic initiation part, at least that people should know, and the terms like CIRP, corporate insolvency resolution process, and what as a whole what IBC is trying to serve, what was there before IBC, a brief history as to what was there before IBC, and also the preamble, that is what is the object of IBC. So like this, you should just have a overall like understanding of what IBC is all about. You need not be an expert in it, because that is what the course is all about. But you should have a very basic knowledge of the core principles of the insolvency code which we have in place. Yeah, you can go ahead, Divyansh.
Yeah. Prakul, I have. Can you continue with the next slide? I have some disturbance out here.
Sure. Correct. So this is, I mean, in continuation of the domain knowledge. Since under IBC, we will also be having the responsibility to manage the employees and also maintain relationship with other stakeholders. It is important to appear for this examination to also have a fair understanding as to how that will be handled. So the questions will not be like too detailed in terms of this relationship with the employees and also the other principles of UNICITRAL and the model law. However, again, as I said earlier, a basic understanding of it will be tested. So you should know that there is something called as UNICITRAL legislative guide on insolvency. You should know that there are principles of the World Bank which are in place. So these are all the things which you should just skim through. You need not be like not have a detailed understanding of it, but you should know in and out as to what are all the various mechanisms available in India and globally in terms of insolvency. So that is why these all have been kept under the domain knowledge. So under domain knowledge, if you have seen the like the sample paper which we have kept, so Jeenath was also asking a question as to whether the level of importance will be as given in the answer paper, like the the question paper, and it's completely true, because more or less the level of like how severe, I mean how strict, I mean like the easy, or the if you give me a scale of 10 how difficult or easy the question is, it will be completely balanced. So you have like 20% of easy questions and 80% of like 60% of average and percent. So it's a common pattern which they follow. And coming to the domain knowledge, this comes under the category of the moderate knowledge they expect from you. They neither expect the basic nor the advanced level of knowledge from you. They expect a model like moderate understanding of you of I mean how you understand the insolvency sphere in India and also globally. So you need not do an in detail reading of all this, but you should know what these all documents are all about. So if you can, I mean, this presentation will anyways be shared with you. So if you can share, yeah, exact. Sumit, let me read this question from Sumit. So he asks, the syllabus does not explicitly mention individual insolvency. Since it has not been given effective, should we focus on insolvency of individuals also? So Sumit, I suggest do not restrict yourself as to not studying it, but just have a understanding what will happen if an individual is undergoing insolvency. So these are all about how you understand it. See, there are loads of material available on the internet trying to explain what IBC is all about within an hour or a two. So just spend that much of time to understand what IBC is first. Do not focus on the timelines, what is the time period and all. So those are all fine because that is procedures are something which are not much tested. It is morely the principles and basic criteria of initiation which will be majorly tested. And apart from that, if you want me to focus on individual insolvency, assume there might be a question asking, so what will be the term, what will be the RP termed as if he is appointed in a bankruptcy for an individual? So it is a bankruptcy. So this need not require for you to focus on it. You just need exactly, Sumit. So you just need to know what it is, right? So I hope I conveyed it, right? So you just have to have the basic understanding of the code. That is important, very basic. So as far as the understanding is concerned, very basic. However, there are other things which you need to see, as you can see on the slide, like the UNICITRAL model law on cross-border. So what is cross-border insolvency? Just a very basic understanding. And then in India, what are happened on cross-border insolvency? There was a committee. Okay, so committee has recommended something. Okay, that much you need to know that something has happened when it comes to cross-border. Similarly, if you see insol, so what is insol? If you just click insolvency, the major things which come would be of insol. So insol is one international agency, I mean, institution in terms of insolvency. So like that, you just need to know basic understanding of what are all certain various mechanisms or various instruments available for insolvency in India and also abroad. So if you can see the references, UK is majorly a major player in insolvency because it had got its own code since 1986, even before 1910. And US is also very old when it comes to insolvency. The laws of US, Australia, New Zealand are way older than India. So the questions will not go into all these aspects. However, it is good you will have a fair understanding of what insolvency is all about by just reading what this document conveys. So you need not focus the contents of the document, but you should know what these documents basically convey, right?
So I'd like to add here,
Yeah.
Prakul,
Yes,
that
Divyansh, please go
while
ahead.
I was preparing, yeah, can I go ahead?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So when I was preparing for the examination, I remember that I had prepared one-page summary of each of these terms, like what is debt trading, what is the essence or summary of UNICITRAL uh, legislative guide, what are the principles of World Bank, what are the introduction. I mean, we understand that you might not be knowing everything about it, and it's the knowledge extent is vast of each of these concepts. Howsoever, I made this one-page summary for my personal knowledge as to what is the crux of it, what is the basic knowledge of it, what does it say, so that I have an idea as to what I am reading, what I have to read about. And that is what we actually expect out of you. We do not expect you to know the entire UNICITRAL model law on cross-border, but we would like you to know what is the crux of it, what is it suggestive of, what is it saying. So similarly, what are the EVDR principles? Just a one-page summary in a way that you can bring out the essence of it. That's all is required, and at least that's what worked for me also. Yeah, that's it.
Sure. Yeah, Divyansh, you can continue.
So domain knowledge codes in India. So if you are a lawyer, then this would come across as naturally to you. What is the legal and regulatory framework? Four pillars of IBC, insolvency professionals. Again, the four pillars have been discussed greatly in PLRC report as well. information utility, adjudicating authority, everything. Uh, to know about legal and regulatory framework of the IBC, I think for me the BLRC report has been the best source. Prakul, any other source that you can recommend for these areas?
Is Bail Act the amended enough or we shall read judgment? So, Vaibhav, a while ago, Divyansh was also clarified that you will not be expected to like go through all the judgments and all, but yes, the landmark judgments under the code, you have to know that there are certain principles which these judgments have given, the precedents which these judgments have put forward. So you need to know what these judgments are and what changes have these judgments brought forward to the code. For instance, we can take the case of Pioneer, wherein home buyers has been clarified that home buyers now be financial creditors. Correct. So similarly, if you say take the recent, like if you take the Swiss ribbons, it has upheld the constitutional validity of various provisions of the IBC. So I mean, the basic idea behind that is these are all something which are there on the news. It is not something which you do out of research. So such cases which made to the news, you need to know. The landmark cases, you need to know what happened in the case. You need not know what are the facts, principles, and all. At least know what was held in that case. That is really important. And as Divyansh asked me, any source for you to understand this, pillars of IBC, the reason why they want this to be there is this is again a basic understanding of the structure of IBC. IBC has been built on these four principal pillars, which are the insolvency professionals or the IPS, second, the IBBI, third, the information utilities, and fourth, adjudicating authority. You need to know what roles these four agencies play. So there is a lot of research material, I mean, a lot of material available for you on individually. If you go to any IPA website, any IPA, go to ICSI, IPA website or ICAI, wherever you go, the IPA website, about us, if you go to the about us column, they clearly describe their role, what they do as an insolvency professional agency. Similarly, go to IBBA website, see what they do there. The website itself will convey you what they are doing. Go to an information utility that we have only one information utility, NESL. Go to that website and see what they are doing. And adjudicating authority, NCLT, you already know what they are meant for. So this is how, like, there is nothing specific you need to know. Their websites itself will speak volumes on what their role is. So I suggest you to have a fair reading of their websites to understand what they do. That will give you a really good understanding of what they're meant for, because they give the stipulations. They basically extract the code, or I mean, extract the regulations and put it on their website as to what they're meant to do under the code. So I think that will be a very useful tool for you to understand the IBC from the point of view of these four pillars, which I repeat: the IPs, the insolvency professionals, which we are, then the IPAs, the agencies, I mean IP or IPS, then information professional entities, which is also the similar one, then IBBI, information utilities, and adjudicating authorities, right? Yeah, Ekta, sure. I will give you I will type it again here. So anything else apart from this? Someone has
I
any
just want
questions?
to add that if there is one judgment that you should definitely read before this examination, is the Swiss ribbon judgment of the Supreme Court. And
Correct.
because it is that judgment where the constitutionality of IBC was upheld. So what makes IBC a constitutional law? What were the reasons why it was raised to be, unconstitutional, and why ultimately the Supreme Court found it to be need of the hour, considering the economic law that it is. So I would be suggestive of that, and I would also share the link of that particular judgment with you at the end.
Yes. Ekta, so what I'll do is I'll type you what I said earlier in terms of the preparation for the four pillars of IBC. And Kushagra, in the meanwhile, like before we finish we finish the slide, I will give you few landmark orders which one as a student should know. And Miss Priya has shared the BLRC report, so you people can actually save the report. So of course it is very like a long document. So if you can see the summary, the executive summary which they have provided, that should also do. Yeah, you can go ahead, Divyansh. In the meanwhile, I will type here what we have just discussed. Divyansh? Okay. Divyansh, are you there? Fine. So let me take this forward. Ekta and Kushagra, just give me some time.
Rakul, can you move the slide or make me the moderator?
Yes.
Meanwhile,
Sure. I moved the slide.
yeah, I've been
So
made. So thank you. Yeah. So legal aptitude. This section will test interest towards study of law, research aptitude, and problem solving ability. I must tell you that our experience from graduate insolvency program so far says that it has a major uh, it's heavy on law. I would rather say that if we cannot decide in terms of percentage, but there is a lot of learning of law that you would have to do. There's a lot of judgment that you have to read. There's a lot of reports that you have to undertake, and there's a lot of presentation also that you have to come and be prepared with during GIP, of course. So, for you to have a natural interest, natural inclination towards studying law, what are the new amendments? What by IBBI, for example, what are the new rules, what are the new regulations? You have to be constantly be updated with it, and that kind of updation requires a certain legal aptitude, and that is why this has been kept on the exam syllabus. So what do we want? We want to see what is your research aptitude. We want to see your problem solving ability, because it is considered to be as a coming natural to a lawyer. Uh, for that matter, we would like to see what are the general principles of Constitution of India: securities contracts, companies, properties, common law. So these are the basics of legal systems that we would rather have all of you knowing. And I will share a material with you in the end, from where you have to study about these basics. It is this basic material is available on there's this course on legal knowledge by NIOS. So it covers basics. It's only for the non-lawyers. So for non-lawyers, I'll be sharing with you a document which covers all these aspects: what is common law, what is civil law, public and private laws, what about the Indian legal institutional framework, so that you have a basic understanding before you join the course, and that is very much required. I'm telling you that robust legal aptitude and research aptitude is sine qua non of it's very much needed. Arvind has a question, please. Arvind, yes, please ask me. Arvind, your question.
I'm sorry, sir. Continue, please.
Okay. So, Prakul, you have to add anything on to this first slide before I move next?
no, Divyansh, you have adequately covered it. And whatever you have suggested, you're anyways going to drop the link later. So it's good.
Yeah, because people are leaving and joining the session. So while we approach the end of the session, that is why I thought it's a good idea to share all the links in the end, so that it's accessible to all. Now I talk of Legal Companies Act, Contract Act, Sale of Goods Act, Transfer of Property, Partnership Act. All those who are CAs here, I am assuming lawyers must be knowing about it. So I won't be discussing how lawyers should be studying it. You have studied already it in law school, and I believe that these are the major part of all semesters in law school. For non-lawyers, how to cover these aspects. So uh, at CA-CPT level, both the Partnership Act, Sales of Goods Act, and Contract Act is asked, and there are a lot of CAs in the room. This discussion would agree that there are a lot of materials available online, which describes these acts in a very simplified manner. And that is meant for somebody who's straight out of class 12 and let's say wants to write CPT. So those are these materials that are available online. Again, I'll be sharing it with you. It covers all these aspects in detail. So if you have any questions, non-lawyers, if you have additional questions as to how to cover this, I will be sending those resources to you at the end of this presentation, so that you can access it. Then there's a SARFAESI Act. Sir, our engineering background, So Yuvraj asks, our engineering background. No, no, of course not. See, Yuvraj, till the time you have the propensity to learn, you are willing to learn, and you have interest in the law, you are never at disadvantage. That's what I'm saying. The interest in the law, interest in insolvency, IBC should come naturally to you. If it's coming naturally to you, you really want to know about it, or at least at this point in time, you feel really excited to join this ecosystem, to join this fraternity of insolvency professionals, then you are nowhere at advantage because you'll naturally make pace. And we have examples within our own batch. We have 5 engineers within our own batch who, if you make a lawyer and an engineer stand together, you cannot distinguish. Uh, because both of them are at same level of knowledge by the time they are nearing the academic completion of GIP. So I believe engineers are absolutely at no disadvantage. Howsoever, the inclination to learn law, inclination to learn IBC, inclination to learn, let's say, financial aspects associated with IBC should come naturally to you. We have another question. Sir, in legal aptitude, we should 6 topics only. Where is complete knowledge is expected? As I was saying, Vaibhav, complete knowledge is not expected, and I believe in these 2-3 weeks time that you have, you cannot get even that complete knowledge. So I would be rather wanting you to have limited knowledge, but you should have covered each and every topic in that limited knowledge. For that, I'll be sharing you the content. So in the end of this presentation, I will be sharing some content with you, and we can work around that later.
Yeah,
Prakul, would you like to add something? Actually, how, as a
no,
you're
no.
also a lawyer, a company secretary, a CMA. So, what had been your approach when you studied for the?
And as you pointed
CIP?
out, for lawyers, you should not actually worry on this point because these are again the basic things which we study in our core module on law. But yes, for engineers, when it comes to math, how the lawyers will have to scratch their brains. For the engineers, maybe this is one for one module where they want to test the engineers as to their willingness to join the course. Because these are, if you look at the syllabus in legal aptitude, these are all the things which would be possible to be. I mean, which I mean, these are the things on which you need to have a basic understanding on. So unless you have a basic understanding on all this, it would be difficult for you to later do the course on insolvency. So try to build the understanding of all these acts. You are not expected to go through each and every section. You are not expected to reiterate a section at the time when the exam when you sit for the exam. But you need to know that, for example, there is an act called Securities Contract Regulation Act. What is the act meant for? So what is it that the act is supposed to do? So this study is something which is mandatory. You have to do it. Maybe it might be easy for the company secretaries or the lawyers or the chartered accountants. And for the engineers, yes, I agree, it would be tough. But since it is something which is a prerequisite for any professional to answer the question, you have to do it. So that's why, and, so for any so it is a bit awkward. So myself and Divyansh are from the first batch of the GIP. So feel free to name us, call us by our names, Prakul and Divyansh. So Divyansh, please go ahead.
So next so we've done with the legal aptitude. Now we talk about the financial aptitude, and see, I can understand for me, financial aptitude was a challenge, and I'll tell you how did it how did I countered it, because I played on my strengths as a law. For me, my strength was law, my strength was ethics, and I have to brush up my aptitude skills. And therefore, when I felt challenged in the financial aptitude test, I made I made sure that I know the concept behind each and every definition. At least the definition element I must be knowing. I'm only talking with respect to the non-CAs or people with non-financial backgrounds. So, because in these moment in time, you might feel challenged as to how will you cover all these. There's absolutely no need to fret. You must be knowing what are the financial market, what are long, just definition type of it. If I had been at your place, I would have made just one page summary of each, a revision note. That's it. That's all is required. Because we are saying your aptitude and not knowledge. That is the difference between aptitude and knowledge. Aptitude is to know that you possess a certain instinct about financial concept, right? Knowledge is that you must be knowing it in deep parts of it. So that is where I think you should go about with it. You should take each and every term, go take any source online, Investopedia, there are numerous sources, and just understand the concept and prepare a one-page summary. That is all is required. And just revise it by the time, let's say if you are planning for your exam today, then just give at least 1 hour every day to finance if you are from non, or just, I mean, prepare it accordingly. I suggest you a model study routine also in the end, but I would be suggested that you you devote some time for finance daily to in understanding each and every concept, just the concept, maybe a one-page summary. While Prakul will definitely be in a better position to answer about financial aptitude,
Yes.
as he is a
So,
cost and management accountant as well. So Prakul,
yes, Divyansh. So, under the financial aptitude, you are again expected to know each and every term what we have seen here. So the approach which Divyan suggested is will really help. You need to know how the financial market works. So that is the first thing with which you should start off. You should understand that there is a financial market in India and how does it operate. And in order for the financial market to be operated, Manit, there won't be any numerical questions on the financial aptitude. It would be more, it is completely theoretical. They are trying to test your understanding of how the financial market operates in India, how the economy of India is intertwined with the financial market of the country, and how financing, like basic aspects of raising of money, like issuing of shares, how what is the role of a stock exchange in it, how does SEBI come into picture, and how does valuation, what is the importance of valuation. So these are all various broad aspects of financial market which will be tested. No, they won't be testing you on these formulas and all. You just forget about it. It is purely your understanding of the financial market, and also how you would relate the financial market with the economy. Here also the basic point they're trying to see is whether you're able to relate, like you are able to understand how the financial market works. So that is how they will be testing you. They will not test you the applicability of it or the application of it. So they will, the more the questions would be focusing more on your understanding alone. So if you are able to understand that, okay, if it comes to equity, SEBI will rule, SEBI's regulations will prevail. If it comes to banks and the majority of loans, RBI is the regulator, RBI will take care of it. So these are certain broad understandings which they expect you to come with when you sit for the exam. So that is what will be tested in financial aptitude. And as Divyansh has suggested, kindly go through each and every aspect. In the syllabus, whatever they've given, each and every point you need to know the meaning of it. And the more study, see, the depth of the study you do depends on, it differs from student to student. So it's up to you how far you want to learn on each and every point. But you need to have the basic understanding. So at least the definition, the meaning of it, you need to know. If you are doing that effort, then that will definitely help. There won't be any negative marking, Rahul. Yeah, Divyansh.
about GK, so they are in GK also they are specifically wanting to know about international economic law. So there are modules by UPSC, by various IAS institutes who deal with international institutions only. I studied from that, and I share again, as I'm saying, I share that with you at the end of the presentation. That covers everything. What is World Trade, IMF, uh, World Bank. So everything gets covered into that. Uh, the additional thing that you have to study will be World Bank insolvency regime ranking. So you have to just study on that on your own, and regional economic law organizations will also get covered mostly. International finance and foreign direct investment. So basically, much of it gets covered in the international institutions and international institutions of economic importance by UPSC institutes. As I'm saying, I'll share it with you at the end of the session. Uh, and I would also suggest there's this website called GK Today. It comes out with monthly compendiums about what has happened. Let's say who died, who got certain awards, or who won some prize, or basic what is happening. So that GK Today website is very good for that matter, and it releases these PDFs monthly. So just get access. There are many numerous websites that cover current affairs. You just need to
Yes.
stick on to one website and follow its current affairs sincerely.
Yes.
Prakul, anything for you to add there?
No. Absolutely. You go ahead. Riju has a question. Can you look into it, Divyansh? Riju Agarwal.
What are the questions? Current
The question
affairs,
is
yes.
current.
Current affairs, I studied from June till June. Like exam was in May, so yeah, like till May. So just take 1 year current affairs. I think that compendium that I'm suggesting you is it covers everything: sports, awards, business, economy. So I think you should have a general idea, because I believe as far as I can recall, there were some questions related
Yes.
to
Yes.
who won what award, some sports questions also. So I think
Yes.
you are just not expected to have.
Agreed. So it's not just like you're not just expected to be thorough with economic or the business related GK, but the basic expectation is for the students to have a fair level of general knowledge on other things as well. Yeah. Go ahead, Divyansh.
Yeah. So as I was saying, just a moment.
Sure.
Uh, yeah. So I mean, you just need not know about economics. Uh, just economics only, not just economics, but about other thing as well. I mean, about what are the awards, what are the uh, what's happening in the arts, or what's happening. Let's say if the government came out with some decision. So what is that? You need to be generally aware about all these things. Next, then I come to logical reasoning. So mathematics, logical reasoning. If you have after class 12, if you are sat for any competitive exam, just take, like, if you are from Delhi, then people from Delhi took this BMS classes to get admission into Delhi University. So you can take those materials. It is freely available online. People who have access to CAT materials, paper won't be that at the CAT level, but it's also not very basic. So you should be prepared with above average knowledge of questions, the status of questions in mathematics, logical reasoning, and verbal ability. And again, there are numerous materials online. I'll share a few of them at the end of this presentation with you. So so logic, mathematics, English comprehension, it's covered in totality by these available materials online. Anything, Prakul, you have to add, because I just took the material and practiced for these things. What did
Yeah.
you do?
Yeah. I will add on this, Divyansh. And before that, Rahul wants to know, I mean, he wants us to talk more about audit and how much understanding one should have, because he's coming from the non-commerce and he doesn't have an idea what all he should cover. So Rahul, Rezu will come to that. Give us some time. So Rahul, to answer your question on the audit part, again, it would be very basic. You need to know as to uh, like the basic applicability of a statutory auditor, like I mean, in companies, suppose companies act, like a statutory auditor is expected to be there. So what is the term of such statutory auditor, and what are the duties of such statutory auditor, and in an audit what all aspects will be covered? These again very broad. It is not at all in detail. I mean, in the sense that it won't be particular. For example, there is a fraud reporting obligation on an auditor, right? So like one section 140 subsection 12. So they won't go that particular in asking the questions in the paper, but it would be very broad as to in an audit. So suppose in an audit, an auditor has to qualify. So you need to know what is the meaning of the term qualification. So qualification, unlike we see, it's not like an degree qualification or something which we have. It is a qualification in the sense it's a kind of an observation which he makes. So every term like a qualification has a different meaning. Observation has a different meaning. And how will the directors reply to such qualifications made by an auditor in his audit report? So this is how you need to know how an auditor is appointed, then how will an audit be conducted, then what is the end result of an audit, which is an audit report, and what does an audit report contain? It contains qualifications and other observations, and how will the board reply to it? So this is how the process flows, and you need to have a very broad understanding of it. There is no, you are not expected to be like having a very like specific knowledge on this area. So that is for you, Rahul. And for math and stats, as uh, Divyansh asked, Divyansh told me, I'm sorry, Divyansh like is pointing out. So mathematics, if you see, it is basically testing out your understanding of uh, the till the 10th standard. It is not going beyond it. So I don't suggest you to like, I mean, in the sense, you need not have a very uh, a complete revamp of your knowledge or something like that, but you need to know that even if it is a basics, the not the level of the knowledge would be a bit higher. It's not like very very simple questions which they would ask, but they would definitely be testing you the aptitude in terms of the probabilities. So there, I mean, I remember one question having a pie chart and then asking us to interpret the pie chart. What percentage of the students represent this or the students represent that? So that way, it would be something which is completely like an aptitude based analytical, which they try to test, but it wouldn't be something like a trigonometric question which you need a calculator or something for you to answer. So yeah, Riju Agarwal has asked if calculator is allowed. There is no need of a calculator. It is completely, again, Kushagra, I'm just answering that. So you will not be allowed to carry calculators, number one, and number two, there is no need of even a calculator. It is completely application of your mind, that's all. So there are ample of materials available on internet. You just have to type like mathematical like aptitude, so you will have an ample of material. And if you would have prepared for any other talent test in terms of like any other entrance test, then this is a completely elementary level of mathematics with the test, and you can easily like get through it. And if you see the areas like probability, the number systems, like arithmetic progression, and also majorly the concept of this statistics, the distribution of data, so and also the mean, median. So these are very basic aspects which we have studied in our education till our 10th grade. So they would not go beyond that. So rest assured, there wouldn't be questions where you would need a calculator in front. It is purely application of your mind based on certain mathematical principles which we have studied earlier. Sure. So after mathematics, we have the logical reasoning, which again, it comes from, as you see the questions, the relations, the family tree, the logical sequence, Venn diagrams. So these are all again certain. These are also something which are time and again asked in various exams, and also the English. So here the vocabulary, this is completely, I mean, how do you prepare for it is majorly trying to answer various sample question papers. It need not be sample question papers of GIP. Any entrance examination, any comprehension, just take random question papers and try answering it. So there would not be any study material. I mean, any material for you to read on this area. You have to. I mean, I prepared it in a way that I just kept on answering various random question papers on vocabulary and the comprehension, and that really helped in my final examination. So it would be something purely based on your basic English, which you know. That's all. So there is nothing particular for this, and this is common for everyone. I don't exactly remember, Manit, how many I had when I wrote, but yeah, it would be one or two, not more than that. And in each comprehension would have 5 questions under that. So more or less it would be covered there. Source, it is completely open source. You can take any paper. I mean, there is nothing for me to suggest you that a particular paper, because I myself don't know what I have referred from. I just took random vocabulary questions on English comprehension, and they started answering it. So you have number of resources on the internet, so you need not worry about that. Past year question percentage, I mean question paper. So I'm not sure about that. I'll definitely put a word to Dr. Neeti on it. Can you please share approximate pass percentage? We don't have data on that, Adish. I'm sorry. Then enough material is available online. Yeah, yes, Rostam, you're right. It is. There is a lot of material on logical reasoning and English online. Divyansh, I think we are at the
Yes.
end. We are done with. So yeah,
Yeah.
this is very important. I would like you.
This
I
is
mean,
the
I would like
most
to.
important bit.
Yeah.
The I mean, I can't stress how important this entire weightage is for your strategy for this examination. So my strategy was that I have to have command over 80% of the material, at least. Like you should aim for 100, but minimum 80% material you should have command on. I would suggest at least 85, 90 that you should keep this now, given the competition might be more high, right? So what is not mentioned? So professional ethics is 20%, which is the most important. So you should be thorough with your professional ethics. You cannot leave this section. You cannot at all compromise not knowing about this one. Domain knowledge is 15%. So now you know that you have to work both on domain knowledge and ethics. Legal aptitude, because I am a lawyer and I made sure that any question from legal aptitude, I cannot stand a chance to miss it. So my entire psychology was that anyhow I have to undertake legal aptitude. Financial aptitude, because I thought that I might be challenged here because my uh, uh, basics in finance are clear, but my background is not entirely or specifically professionally financial. So I took a financial aptitude in the last days after covering every other aspect. Mathematical logic and English was strong for me, and I made sure that at least at the aptitude level I do not miss out on any questions. So yeah, I mean that's how I prepared.
Yes, Divyansh. So there is one clarification which we need to give here. So Rizu Agarwal, you're right. It's actually 120. So there is a correction here. It's not 90. So I've just checked even on our website. It is 120 minutes. And also would like to stress on this to Vrinda. So who was asking as what is the most strenuous part of the exam? So each and every one of you, whoever is giving the exam, it is very important for you to do a proper time management. So if you are overspending time on any area, it would be harmful for you. So you
Yeah.
have like
Prakul, I
student.
think the duration of the test is 120 minutes, correct?
Correct, correct. It is
Yeah,
120.
this is a correction. It's a 120 minutes. Please.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank
So
you.
yeah, what we are trying to suggest here is kindly make sure that the time management is in, I mean, you are prudently managing all your time available with you. So I suggest if someone is very strong, like there are two ways of answering it. If you're strong in something, maybe you can start off with something which you're strong in and spend more time on something which you are not that strong at. Or alternatively, anyways, you know you're strong at something, so you are very quick at it, so you can post it for the last, and you can keep, since in the first half an hour would be very fresh, so maybe you can spend the time on like things which you need more time on. So it's up to you how you manage it, but I suggest at least a day before your exam, have a proper understanding in your mind as to how you are going to start your exam, because it just triggers the moment the first, I mean, it's the same for any entrance exam. So I'm not stressing it as if it is the world's toughest exam or something, but I mean, it's just a suggestion. So try to make sure that you are handling the time at a very respective, like you basically have a hang of the time as to how much time you spent on something, because the more you the more you monitor the time taken in your test, the more it will help you in answering or like spending a particular amount of time on a question. So if you have spent 5 minutes and you're still unable to get an answer, so I don't think it's worth spending 5 minutes on one question, because if you see the total, if you just divide a simple math also, you have hardly one minute like for each question, 1 minute and more, like few seconds more for each question. So stick to the time limits you have. And Maruti, any sectional time limit? No, you are completely, ultimately it's you are writing, it's completely free, so you can take it as per you. And Parth, HRM, no. There won't be much on HRM except for in the domain knowledge, as we said, since employee management is also one of the trait of an IP, there might be one or two questions, but it is not HRM as I mean, it's not, but as per like it's not actually HRM, but yeah, a sort of it would be tested in terms of the employee role. Yeah, Divyansh is sharing certain links, so please save it. And then Parth, is it possible to solve the sections or questions as per personal preference, or do we have to answer each question to move? No, it's up to your personal preference. It's not like you have to answer one and only then you have to the next question. Is it so, Mani? Uh, ask. Ours is also an online, but we had an exam center where we went to give the exam. So yes, maybe now that you people are under heavy scrutiny because of this COVID and you can't go to any exam center. So yes, I mean I'm not sure on it, but since you had the call with Neeti ma'am, I think Manit, I'll take that as yes. So you have to answer a question to move to the next. I will confirm this as well from Neeti ma'am. Maybe we will give a clarity on this. But having said that, it is very important if this is the case, so which I'm not aware now because of the changes in the exam pattern. If this is the case, I highly suggest you people to have really good like hang on what is the quantum of time you're spending on each question, because that completely decides how you're going to score in your paper. You may be ultimately like hyper smart in the end all questions, but if you don't have time, it would definitely not help. So you have to be really careful on that aspect. Aditya, can you please ask Niti ma'am to give us some information on how to go about the exam, as we'll be giving it online, so we should at least how to maneuver around the exam. Sure, Aditya, that will definitely be taken care of. The basic aspects of the online exam will definitely, they will definitely come out with a video on it. I will definitely put it forward before Dr. Neeti. Dr. Neeti will clarify as to how the exam pattern will be and how the students are supposed to allocate the time. So that will mock online exam. Let us, I mean, I'm not sure because we also never had one, but sure, I'll definitely put it forward before her. Divyansh, your links are not accessible. Okay, guys, cool. He will reshare, or let us see how we can do it. And then last year, oh, whoa, last year total time, please. Yeah, it's 120 minutes now, Kushagra. For us, it was 90. But since you have asked, sure, I will ask for clarification on it. 120 minutes or 90 minutes and exam pattern. Can you share notes on public and private laws for non-lawyers? Chandrasekharan. It's difficult to access the links from this chat. If you could share it on some other platform, it would be helpful.
See,
Divya,
participants, you just have to click on the link which Divyansh has shared. He didn't share that as a text, he has shared that as a link. All that you require to do from your end, just click on that link. There's a tab opens at your desktop or laptop. I don't know who's accessing from where. That depends on the instrument that you are accessing this class, right? So you might be listening from your own mobile. It will be difficult for you to download, right? You will the link will get lost because the people are continuously typing, so the link will go above. You just have to go through the chat box and you have to just scroll it top, or otherwise I'll request Divyansh to mail me all those links and I'll share with Neeti ma'am. She will share if your email IDs are available with her,
that's
right?
better, sir. I think that's better. We will do it that
Yeah.
way. Divyansh,
If
it's better
Yeah,
you
email
yeah.
share
I
ID
it.
think that's
is
also better.
Hello.
So instead of any one of you contacting with me, I'll directly send it to Pala sir, and
Yeah,
that
in
will get
fact,
shared
that's
to
not
you
a good
through email.
practice of getting anything like that except in session, because that won't be within the rules, right? So certainly, they have to find out a way to get these links. How
Yeah,
you will
it's
get it?
also fair, sir,
So
because only
probably
few
what
of
we'll
the
do,
students have
we will upload this
attended.
session once it gets over in YouTube. You download this and keep listening and take note of on your own convenience. I think that will be better. I think Rizu,
No, sir. I mean,
there is, it's not good to get any mobile number to be shared here, because that is your personal numbers. So my suggestion would be, don't share any mobile numbers here. What we will do, we will upload this session in YouTube. after this, I'll request IIC to download this session and upload it in YouTube. Okay, you just keep type GIP preparation in YouTube, you'll get this. So that from there you can go through this on your convenience. All that you will able to see from there is the option. The one disadvantage is that in YouTube that you won't able to see the chat. That is also an issue. What we'll do in that way, I'll try to find out a way where you can able to see the PPT with chat, whatever chatting is happening here, so that you're able to access. In YouTube, you won't able to get the chat. Only the PPT will be visible. So let me find out some way for this, and we'll record.
Pilot sir, what we will do is we will upload the video, and under the description we will put all the sources which Divyan shared,
I think
so
that's
that
better.
everyone will have a fair like access to it,
Yeah.
because there might be certain students who would have missed attending the session, so they should not be put
Yes,
to an
yes,
issue.
yes.
So we will put it on.
Yeah, Divyansh, I
Description.
request
So
that once this PPT gets uploaded in YouTube, please put all the sources below, so that anybody wanted to visit those links, they can able to access from there.
Perfect. Yeah. Any other questions? So I have.
Yes, Maruti, we have to talk to Neeti ma'am, and
Yes, sir.
we will get back to you soon. Right? Yes. Any questions on with reference to preparation, please?
Ekta had a question on how is our experience, so we will tell that before we conclude.
I think this is not the forum. Probably
yes.
with reference to experience, this is session is meant for only how to prepare for the GIPSET. Hopefully that all of you enjoyed the session and find this session is very useful. I feel personally, I feel that it's very useful for me because we are listening to these students who have actually gone through the test. I hope you all enjoyed the session. Yeah, we'll get back to on GDPA. Let's first concentrate more on the examination part.
We will just give them a brief, sir. So, Priya, GDPI would be again, once you clear this exam. So, I mean, I hope many of you should clear. You get selected for the group discussion and the personal interview. So it can be modified. So for us, we had like everyone was given a fair opportunity for both the group discussion and personal interview. But for you, maybe there might be a change where there is more number of students coming. There might be like scrutiny after group discussion, only few might go to the interview. So it all depends, but it would be more or less on your personal traits rather than on the insolvency knowledge you have. So they would test more of your ethical nature. I mean, like how you deal with situations, right? It is not about what is IBC, what is section so and so. So that is for your internships. But here, when it comes to the your selection on in the graduate insolvency program, it is more about you and your traits as to how you handle situations. So that is what more or less the group discussion and TI. And group discussion is currently, yeah, exactly. It would be more of the current topics. They'll give some topic and you just have to speak. So they look at how you communicate. So that is the major purpose of group discussion. There is nothing unique which they come out with there. It is completely as it happens in any other institution, and the same happens also here. Want to share schedule for preparation in the end. Rahul has wanted to share schedule for preparation. Okay, this question paper follows strictly weightage. But yes, Maruti, the weightage pattern is strict. They won't shuffle it. Thank you, Mohak and Sudhir. After writing, how much time it will take for the results to be out, so that I mean, usually I don't actually remember, but a fortnight. It's not more than that. I think it's, yeah, maybe in a fortnight or two, like in max 21 days, they'll be out with the results. Count number of topics, total number of days left, divide them and cover the topic strengths and weightage. So yeah, Rahul, I think Divyansh is trying
It
to
would be
address
available at YouTube. When you access
Yes.
the video, automatically the entire PPT comes there. I hope that's clear to Mohak.
Mohak, you have the PPT also there in the video when it's uploaded on YouTube. And Rahul, yeah, sure. Mohak, no, there is no negative marking as addressed earlier. I think Ekta had totally studied the prospectus, so she's answering some questions for us. Thank you, Ekta, for the active participation. And also all the students who have actively participated, thank you so much. We would be very happy to see you on the campus. Hope the
Same here.
situation
We would be very happy to have you on campus. You can reach out to us on LinkedIn also if you have any further queries. We would be happy to help you out. And yeah, I mean, we are thankful for your time. And thanks to Pala sir for having us here. Thank you, sir, for this session.
I should say thanks to Prakul and Divyans for sharing very valuable information here. And it's a wonderful opportunity to talk to your seniors. And it's a really wonderful session. And I thank both of them for taking the time, especially on Saturday, to address the prospective students. And thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you.
So much, sir. Thank you, everyone.
We'll meet on the campus.
Thanks,
Yes,
Riju. Yeah, we'll meet in the campus for sure.
yeah, you are welcome anytime to the IACA campus. Right.
Yes.
Once again, I thank all of you for taking time and joining this session. And we will upload this in YouTube as early as possible with the permission from our institute. So thank you so much for joining this session. Thank you. See you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
All the
sir.
best for
See
your
you all.
examination.
Yes, sir.
All the best, everyone.